I was on jury duty this week. We sent one guy up. It's a whole different story about juries and that kind of stuff. But in my free time, I went and looked at a few lawsuits. And one of them, and this really is amazing. Here's what I said at the meeting regarding lawsuits and how much they pay lawyers.
183, 184, 185, if those are still the resolutions. Numbers about this lawsuit where the county is defending 3 separate defendants for $10,000 each. Now, I knew about this lawsuit before I came here today because I was on jury duty this week, and one of my diversions lunchtime was going over to the courthouse and seeing, who was suing Union County. So that took a couple of days, and one of those was this Hatton case, which is, and I have it here. I'm not going to read any of it, but let's just say this is more fitting for an 8th grade principal to handle. I mean, I'll post it, I'll upload it, everybody will see. But to be spending $30,000, I mean, this isn't life and death, this is basically a flyer that went out. I mean, there's more details to it, but there was a flyer that was posted, and this guy's suing. I mean, there have been far worse things. I mean, there was a flyer that actually was mailed with Nazi implications about somebody who I won't mention. So it was called the Kruger Report, but I won't get into details. This just was silly, and I noticed that the lawyers involved, Kaloji, Krebsky, Palumbo, and Renaud, all are major campaign donors. And I believe Palumbo and Renaud also are personnel lawyers who might well have been, I guess you pay $150,000 a year to personnel lawyers who are supposed to be there not to let this get to this stage. And I'm not doing it justice. I mean, anybody who sees this lawsuit will just, oh God, the details, just one line I could read, but I don't want to. If you wanted to save money, honestly, you don't need, there are 3 Burketts for $10,000 each. They're basically the same person. They're saying the same thing. This is a perfect opportunity. This is an in-house lawsuit because of the nature of it. There isn't anything specific that these lawyers bring to this case. It's just a matter of waiting it out, bringing it before a judge who laughs it out of court, basically. But it's going to cost taxpayers. Well, this is the beginning. I mean, for the people who aren't aware of this, this is the first go, and then every 3 or 4 months there's going to be something else saying an additional $10,000 for a new one of 40, it's 20, and on and on. This could be $150,000, $200,000 in legal fees. That's like 2 jobs with benefits for people up here for something that could have been handled or should be handled in-house. And if this gets to court, you ought to seriously consider the personnel, having a personnel lawyer might not be working. And this is only one case. Like I said, I spent a couple of days, so I've got a few others that I'll bring up at the appropriate time. But this is what I have a problem with spending money on. To me, it just looks like payback to these lawyers. And this is something that should be, I don't know who was on that committee that was looking at this stuff. Maybe the lawyers were on this committee too. But this is the first place to start stuff, and this is big money. I mean, you knock off down, and I've got other suggestions, but we'll leave that for another time. That's it, just a comment.
All right, Mr. Burry, thank you for your public service as a juror. And I'll ask county counsel to comment on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we certainly do have representation provided to 3 of the individual defendants that have been identified in this suit. They are not the only defendants. The county itself is a defendant, the Department of Corrections, and the director, Brian Reardon. Those 2 entities and the director are represented in-house. It's to a point where there are potential conflicts between defendants. Those defendants, when they're identified with a potential conflict, are entitled to their own counsel. We're responsible for providing that representation. We also take appropriate precautions in terms of protecting the county's interest should any of the allegations with reference to intentional torts or punitive damages possibly arise out of a case like this. The defendants are notified that is not something that the county would provide for. But it was my evaluation of this case, the allegations that were in this matter, and the individuals involved, that these three individuals were required to have their own counsel. With reference to the statement about Colombo and Bernard, they are not one of our personnel counsel.
Okay.
Now, I didn't read item 9 here, which is the basis of this lawsuit that is costing up to $30,000 plus Union County time, and it's the kind of thing where it'll be up. This might cost $250,400 to taxpayers. This is it. This is the basis of the lawsuit. Not anybody getting killed, no rape, no, Devaney putting me in a room. On January 8th, 2011, anonymous picture flyers were scattered through the parking garage consisting of a wedding picture of Mr. Ryan and his wife with vulgar, pornographic, and gang-related language added thereto. That's it. That's what it's going to cost, $250,000. Somebody did that. Might have been a prank, whatever. It was a county employee. They investigated. The guy wasn't happy with the investigation. They should have done something more, on and on and on. This is something that a vice principal, a middle school principal could handle. They have a personnel lawyer, there's a couple of them, $150,000 a year, not being able to handle this. And why would they? Because if they don't handle it, then there's these other lawyers, connected lawyers, get another, well, $10,000 for now, but it's going to be $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. And this is how they operate. They don't mind these things going on because it goes to the people who give them campaign contributions. For example, if Krefsky or Bauk-Zilka, which is the bigger one, don't get $10,000 to represent, some rinky-dink case, the Union County Democratic Committee doesn't get their $500 or whatever that limit is, or maybe per lawyer.
Bauk-Zilka was in this, Kaloji.
Right, they're all the same. Kaloji, Colombo, Renaud. These are contributors to the Democratic Committee, the freeholders, and all that other stuff. And they get to contribute. I mean, it's amazing that no one would make the connection. It's so obvious. To contribute, they have to get paid. This is business. They fund the campaigns, and then they get this. Not saying that they're not good lawyers, but posting a flyer, an offensive flyer out there, I challenge anybody who graduated law school not to be able to defend this case. This isn't anything. This is standard. It's based on this. There must be somebody in Union County. Well, their argument is that we can't represent each other, conflict of interest, but this is a case that named three look-like brothers who, I guess, conspired to put this flyer together.
You should have fired him instead of
then the brothers would have sued him. But this is the level. You see a lawsuit, you think Marbury versus Madison, some big thing. This is a flyer that was put on a garage door for a day somewhere in Union County, and then he goes on. It was really. This is something that, for the hundreds of thousands of dollars they're spending, this should be taken care of. And that is only one of the lawsuits. I've got 2 here. I've got 3 more on the way after copies are made.
Hey, read that one about the guy sitting in the room, much like the Lapola one.
This is the second one. This is Kevin Kobeck. Kevin Kobeck, this is the Lapola case over again. George Devaney put him in a room, put him in a couple rooms, and I'll just read something at random. Plaintiff's former position was given to an individual with many years less experience and seniority than plaintiff, and who, because of multiple DWI convictions, did not have a valid driver's license, making it necessary for other county employees to drive him from place to place, as required by the position. Didn't name names, but the LaPola case was, he was put in a room because George Devaney didn't like it, and this goes into detail as to the factions. The Michael LaPola faction and the Charlotte DeFilippo faction, and Kevin Colbeck and Rick LaPola were part of the LaPola team, so they got moved aside. And in conjunction with that, I was curious of why they wouldn't just fire them, but apparently there's civil service protection, which I didn't really get to the bottom of. But, well, finishing up, this is my little clip about asking for unemployment insurance, what unemployment insurance is and how they answered.
The Employment Trust Fund. I am putting together this thing about debt, and I've broken through some walls. I kind of get this. I see the UCIA, where they're part of it and all, but I can't find the Unemployment Trust Fund. So you're going to help me with that. How much is in there? And a general question. Now, this is for people who you fire, but there's a civil service protection. So who exactly do you fire? I mean, if you fire for cause, I presume nothing's being paid out of the trust. Who can you fire? And has anybody been paid out of the trust? How many people do you normally, or you pay out every now and then? In a typical year, how many people pay out, how much? Because the union employees, I don't think you can touch. I don't think you could fire them at all. The 600 contractual, I mean, if you fire them, I mean, there have been examples of people who probably deserve to be fired who were just put in a room somewhere to settle. You know, what's in the fund now? How do you get on it, and how much is being paid? That'll help me with a portion of the report that'll be coming, hopefully a couple of days after your executive budget comes out.
All right. I'd like to call Director Taylor to talk about the Unemployment Trust Fund.
Mr. Chair, unfortunately, I don't have the exact balance in the unemployment trust, but I'd be happy to obtain that information and make it available to the board as requested, sir. The trust is indeed established, it is self-insured, employees pay out, we then take that revenue and put it into the trust and pay out for those people that qualify pursuant to law.
Okay. You can make that available and we can provide it to Mr. Barry or whoever else is asking about it.